Hi everybody, welcome back to BigRedEDC. Well, on the table in front of us, we have 4 different knives from Daggerr Knives. Now, up until this point, I hadn't had my hands on a Daggerr knife, but shout out to Andrew Halbert, and our good buddy Rusty Knife Lover. Both of those guys sent all 4 of these in for me to check out. The top 3 came from Andrew, and the last one came from Rusty. So thank you guys so very much for the opportunity to be able to check out basically this line of knives, really. And I was going to do separate videos on all of them, but then I decided, I kind of wanted to do them all together because even though it's the same brand of knife, to me, I see pretty much 3 different, how do I want to put this? 3 different variations or 3 different types of knife, maybe. Maybe that's a better, 3 different types of knives. Now, in order, we have the Wocket, you have the Arrow, you have the Parrot, then you have the Voran. Now, what do I mean by 3 different types of knives? Well, let's just kind of get into it, and I'll talk. We're just going to kind of talk about these knives. It's not really. I mean, we can get into specs and stuff, and we might because there's quite a difference. But like I said, first off, we have the Wocket, right? Now, to me, the Wocket, pretty much seems like your standard run-of-the-mill. Now, I don't mean to use these words wrong, but more mainstream. That's a better way to do it. More mainstream knife, right? I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's got a nice drop point blade. You've got a nice FRN handle. I mean, there's your skulls on it. I mean, they do have their skull clip. I mean, they got to have their skull clips. Mr. One Eye, of what I call him. You've got, this is 8CR14. You've got a liner lock. The detent on this knife is fantastic. Just a super, super detent. Absolutely. These pocket clips were scaring me. I was like, man, those pocket clips, they can't be comfortable. They feel just as good, if not better, than a lot of smaller clips, to be perfectly honest with you. I hardly know that clip is there, which is absolutely fantastic because, obviously that clip is part of Daggerr Knives. It's part of their identity of who they are. But yet they can keep it so it's not intrusive, it's not getting in the way, and it's just, I'm very impressed. Let's put it that way. I'm very impressed how they were able to put their identity out there, but yet not have it interfere with your grip, with the ergonomics of the knife. Now, does that sound like a very big deal? It might not to some of you, but you look at that clip. That is a larger clip, but it is done well enough, and the handle, and somebody out there may have issue with it. I take that absolutely. It could happen. But for me, being as concerned as I was about the ergonomics of that clip, it's not even a thing. It's not even remotely a thing for me, which I'm very, very impressed. Now, glass breaker, okay. Could I do without that? Yeah, okay. Not a big deal though. Like I said, FRN handle, more mainstream, more mainstream of a knife shape. Great handle, great ergonomics. The action is really actually pretty terrific. The detent is fantastic, like I said. Access to your lock bar is pretty darn good. I don't have to jam my thumb down in there. It grabs my thumb very, very well. Now, this is a right hand only pocket clip, so I'm sorry, lefties. And no lanyard loop for the lanyard fans. I mean, I guess you could loop one through there, through the clip if you would want to. It's a deep carry clip, so you guys know I'm loving that. The construction on them feels really very good. Now, this guy being 8CR 14, being FRN, I mean, you can pick these up for like 30 bucks. I think it's 29. Yeah, super, super impressed with what I'm seeing so far. So like I said, the Wocket, more of your mainstream knife, right? Now we go into the arrow. Of course, now you've got carbon fiber. You still have their signature clip. You do have a lanyard hole, so very good. Now again, there you go. This is right or left hand, Mr. Blue Eyes there. I like what they did with that. Now, I don't know if Andrew, I forgot to ask Andrew if he did the blue or if it came like that. If it came like that, I think it's kind of ingenious, honestly, because it gives it a lot more character. It really, really does. And, you know, I was talking about, oh, if they were red, but you could get some red anodized screws, green, whatever color you wanted, and use and give your skull some eyes. You know, Andrew, if you did it, brilliant. Daggerr Knives, if you did it in production, very brilliant. I think it's a great idea. Again, detent is fantastic on this knife. Action, really pretty good. You do have the hole there that's kind of the skull. If I can get it, if I can get the grip just right and keep my other finger out of the way. Yeah, okay, not happening here. Very good. I've only been able to do it a couple of times. I can't do it consistently. But here again, now this one, I feel the clip just a little bit more. Okay. But it's still not an issue in my grip. Now, this is kind of where we're getting into more Dagger's signature from what I've seen. You got this very sharp, you know, spear point blade. You do have a nice, well, it is a fuller. I mean, I referenced it kind of as a blood groove one time, and I don't know if somebody didn't like it or what, but, you know, I mean, it's kind of what it is. Usually a blood groove goes to the end of the blade. But anyway, fuller. We'll call it a fuller. Again, very well constructed. Your access to your liner lock, again, done very, very well. But this one, the arrow kind of reaches to me, and what I've seen from some of their other ones, other models, this is kind of what I think of when I think of Daggerr Knives. Again, like I said, we've got the signature clip. Now we're getting into the kind of these a little bit more, I don't want to say unusual, but a little more definitive, Daggerr definitive type blade shapes. And we're going to see a couple more of those really, really soon. Now this is more, like I said, more mainstream in the Wocket. The arrow here is more what I think of when I think of Daggerr Knives. More of their signature style knife, if you will. Again, like I said, ergonomics, really pretty well. Pretty darn good. You've got this nice thumb ramp there with some jimping on it. You can choke up if you want to, and that's going to give you a little bit of extra on the pokey stabby there. Don't recommend that. But anyway, I don't recommend the pokey stabby. I just say pokey stabby because it is. It's sharp. It's very pokey stabby. It is only sharpened on one side. It's not a dagger. It's not illegal here. If anybody's watching that thinks that's a bad thing. It's only sharpened on one side. There you go. You got more of the skull. You know, obviously you have the skull there on the Wocket with the FRN. You got the skull here. But this is more of what I think of when I think of Daggerr Knives. And again, very well built. Yeah. I have been, I will tell you, I have been thoroughly impressed so far with what I've seen in these two knives. I'll be honest with you. I kind of, when I first saw Daggerr Knives come out, I'm like, okay, you know, it's a little hokey, okay, with the skull and stuff like that. Don't judge a book. That's all I can say. Don't judge a book by its cover. Because, you know, I kind of did, and happily, I'll say I was wrong. D2 blade steel on this one. D2 blade steel, carbon fiber, and it's pretty sure it's carbon fiber laminate. It might not be, but it kind of feels like it is. I mean, it could be full thickness carbon fiber. I'm trying to see. Yeah, it might be. It might be, but it does kind of have that laminate feel to it. Now, it's got a decent grip. I mean, my thumb is kind of slipping a little bit. But as far as the overall construction and build and make of these knives, I'm liking it. Now, the last two I'm going to show you, we're going to get into something that I kind of see as extreme, the over the top, if you will, and that's kind of why I said three different styles of knives in mainstream-ish, okay, signature, and then these two, the Parrot and the Voran, are just, they're like, wow. Because, I mean, these things are just, well, one, they're massive. This guy, I forget exactly how big it is. It's almost, here, I got to go from this side, sorry. That way I don't have to count backwards. You're looking at, well, with the glass breaker, it's about 10 3/4 inches long. A big, big knife. Now, again, this is a button lock, and golly, you got to get your finger out of the way. I'm doing everything I can to slow that blade down. And I don't want to hit the camera stand with this thing because it's a behemoth. Almost 11 inches long. Now, you do have a spot here where you can basically make this a fixed blade. Remove this pin here, put it in. It does go into your blade. It screws in. Now, I did, and I kind of talked about this before, but I did talk to Andrew about it. When I put it up here, it really only turned, geez, I don't even think it turned a half a turn, and then it felt like it was fully engaged. So, did I take it out? Did I beat on it? No, I didn't do that at all. Not my knives. But with that little bit of engagement, it's actually down. I mean, when it engages, you're engaging in probably this side of the blade because it actually goes down through. But still, quarter, half turn. I'd like to see it have a little bit more engagement than that if I'm really going to trust it as a fixed blade. You know what I mean? But still, this is just a beast. And that thing, see that? It drops. So I'm getting my finger out of there. Now, you've got this top. It's a flipper tab, but it's kind of a top back flipper. And it takes some force to open it. Now, the one thing about this, you can also open it with the button, but see, I did that and it didn't get a full lockup. Now, when it opened up there, that little bit, it did get a full lockup. So, if you're gonna use, if you're using the Parrot, to fully trust it, I would use the flipper tab, but it's not the most comfortable flipper tab in the world to use, just because, for me, it's because of the size and the detent and everything else. I mean, it's not bad, but you really got to get on top of it to use it. Now, grip-wise, I mean, the pocket clip doesn't even play into it at this point because my hand is so far forward. Again, you've got that really nice ramp. You can choke up, but this one, again, well, you saw there, D2. No, probably not. Probably not. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. The Parrot and the Voran did not get a whole lot of carry time because they're just too big. They're just too big for me to carry. For my preference, well, for my legalities, taking them to work, yeah, not so much. Not so much. I can get away with these two. This one and the other one, not so much. Not so much. But again, you do have their signature clip on it. Mr. No Eyes, no eyeballs there. But you do have a lanyard fan. Is it reversible? Let's see. Is it reversible? Is it? Golly, I can't see. I need light. Is it reversible? I didn't take it. Yeah, it might be. It does kind of look like it is reversible. So it does appear to have a reversible clip on it, so that's good. But my goodness, this now your button, the button is only on one side, so if you're left-handed, you'd have to operate the button from the back side, which is perfectly all right to do. But oh my goodness, this one is just I don't know. I don't know. It's a little. I don't want to use the word ridiculous because that's not what I want to say. It's just it's too much. It's too much. It's too much to carry. And then you have the Voran. And this one, like I said, Rusty sent. Now this one is actually really fairly easy. You've got a nice flipper tab on it. Does pretty well. Oh, that one drops too. God, I got to be careful. And that was a pretty weak flip on my part, and it still came open. You get that blade moving, and it's such a heavy blade that I'm trying to fail it. I'm trying to fail it, okay? And it just swings open. So in that aspect, you know, it seems to be built pretty well. Now, this one is a frame lock. D2 again, G10 on your handle. But the one thing I do like is I love their black wash. The black wash looks fantastic. Now, this thing, yeah, I had some rope here at home, so I just had to go play with it a little bit. Same with the Parrot. And, I mean, with that blade, the rope doesn't even stand a chance. I mean, it's just silly. Now, again, I didn't carry this really outside the house much at all. I just kind of messed around with it here a little bit because there, again, the size of this one is just, and I believe this one is even bigger if I remember correctly. Yeah, this one's 11 1/4. So this is the biggest of them all. You got 10 3/4 here. You have 11 1/4 here. Another just kind of crazy and crazy cool in a way. Okay, I mean, you guys know I don't really tend towards, you know, the outlandish or yeah. You guys know I like just plain knives. You know, I mean, you guys know what I like, the Ray Laconico designs. And some of these designs like this, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's cool. It feels really great in hand. You've got a nice, you know, you've got the swell here, but it kind of narrows here in the handle, in the grip. And it absolutely feels really, really good in hand. Now, choking up, no, not even remotely. You've got that small sharpening choil there, which, as you can see, it is way back behind the plunge quite a bit. So you're going to have to be careful when sharpening, but it feels good. I mean, my smaller hand, I mean, look how much of that thing I have left over. I mean, there's a lot of handle there. A lot of handle left over. But with the shape of the handle, it actually feels really good. Feels really good in hand. And I keep saying it, but I am impressed, without a doubt. I am very much impressed. And, you know, humbled isn't the right word, but like I said, I kind of judged a book by its cover, you know, and I shouldn't have. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I shouldn't have, because, you know, the more I think about it and the more I look at it, and at first it was the skull clips. I was like, okay, you know, all right. But they're actually kind of cool. It gives them their own flavor. It gives them their own flair. And, you know, the more I look at it and the more I have them here to check out, you know, I'm like, all right, these are kind of cool. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just the way it was. I'll tell it to you just the way it is. At first, I was like, Now I'm like, all right, okay. Yeah. Dagger has done a very, very good job with the construction on all of these knives. Is really good. Like I said, the only thing that kind of gives me a little pause or a little concern is the engagement with the pin on the Parrot. It just didn't give me a whole lot. It was down, it's through the blade, like I said, but it was only giving me about a quarter, not even a half a turn. So that was a little bit, I was like, okay, I'd like to see a little bit more than that as far as engagement to be able to fully trust it and use it as they intend as a fixed blade. Other than that, these four knives are very well built. You can tell there's a lot of thought put behind this design, at least I believe. And of course there is, but you know, there's some knives that you can tell that are just kind of like, all right, you know, they throw it out there. And that usually happens in more of your budget. They don't tend to take time, but I mean, this is a $30 knife. A $30 knife, and it's really well done. I am very, very happy. Maybe one of the best detents I've seen on a sub $30 knife. It's good. Very, very good. The action overall is very good. So, you know what? Gary's been talking, the Last Ranger, Goondocks, both of them have been talking about Dagger knives for quite some time now. Gary was really the first one that I really saw with Dagger knives, and I guess Goondocks has surpassed Gary in his Dagger collection, so very, very good. And go check those guys out. See what they say about Dagger knives. That's the Gary the Last Ranger and Goondocks. Both of them have a lot in their collection, and they really, really like the Dagger knives. And guys, you know what? Good on you. Like I said, I've learned my lesson. I'll just say that. Very, very cool. But have to give a shout out to Andrew and to Rusty for sending these out and giving me the opportunity to check them out. I really, really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so very much. Thank you guys for stopping by and kind of listening to this long-winded aspect of Dagger knives and my interpretation of Dagger knives, if you will. Now, I know I didn't go into specs and a whole lot. I'll leave links down in the description if you all want to go check them out. This was just more of me, you know, kind of saying, hey, you know, I made a judgment call in the beginning, and I shouldn't have. Because, come to find out, they're pretty all right. So, there you go. There you go. I'll give credit where credit is due. Dagger Knives knows what they're doing when it comes to making a knife, in my opinion. There you go. So, thanks a lot, guys. Always appreciate you. Like, subscribe, leave me that comment. You know I love talking to you. Until next time, I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.